Hello, today's video is going to be the basics of building a Minecraft house. There are multiple videos like this, but these are my own personal, some others might have recommended these, tricks to building a house. Of course, I'm not a professional. I don't think there's such a thing as a professional Minecraft builder. I am simply just having fun and helping my friends. So, one of the first things is probably to plan out your build. So I'm going to quickly make out a shape, and I'm going to explain after that. Okay, so here I have the basic shape of a house. One of the things I want to specify is that these little points are just a guide for me. I like to add these to mark out where the corners and middle of segments are, because I like to keep mostly odd numbers in my builds, which is another helpful thing I'll get to later. I usually use wool to do this, but if you're in survival mode and you want something more accessible than having to shear a bunch of sheep for ages, I recommend just using wood or something. So a supply that's common. You could even use dirt. I just recommend having a different set of blocks, because now we're going to talk about how you can add on to this pretty simple shape and develop more unique houses. So if I were to grab some yellow wool, you can use any colors once again, or any blocks. What if I wanted to add some extra segments? Just something to spice it up. These could be different heights than the rest of the build, or they could be the same with different roofs, or just different segments that can help make your build a little bit more unique. So what if I wanted to put, what if I made this a balcony or an overhang? And what if I made this some sort of chimney or something that's similar of the sorts? I could do a lot with just adding more simple shapes onto the already existing one. And whenever I do this, I usually build the main shape first and finish the main house in this shape, and then work on the other segments. And that's specifically if I want them to have different heights, different roofs and such. It just makes it a bit easier, in my opinion. But once again, these are your buildings. You can do them however you want, and these are just tips. So, next I'm going to talk about block palettes, which is another very important thing. So let's say you wanted to go for a nice clean looking house, something that looks nice and uniform. So maybe you want a cool color palette to go with that. Here is what I would recommend. I'm just going to grab a few random blocks. I think these blocks right here, the prismarine pillar quartz block, or just any quartz block, and the acacia wood go quite nice together. Unless you want to, if you want to, you could make that planks. You can, once again, you could do whatever you want. These are complementary colors, blue and orange. Color theory, I just suggest you doing your own research about that. So they do look good together. I just don't recommend using them together always, like using a bunch of bright different colors. Sometimes some nice matching colors look nice. And that's where I bring in, I got two of those, the acacia wood. So I'm going to quickly build a house using these several items, or even just a different color palette. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll build something and then get back to you on the roof segment. Alright, so as I said before, I like to start with just the main house shape, and then I get to the other segments later. So for now, we're just going to focus on here. As you can see, I built up using mangrove wood, the logs, then white wool, calcite, stone bricks, and cracked stone bricks. I will go more in depth about texturing and stuff like that in another video, perhaps. But for now, I'm just focused on the basic foundations of a house. So, now I'm going to go into the shapes of roofs. There's many shapes, and you can find them all just by searching them up. There's several graphs and stuff that show all of them, especially for Minecraft specifically. I'm going to be showing a few that I commonly use. One of the ones I use most commonly has to be one similar to this. So usually I just start by bringing it out right here on each side. Just getting those set up. And then up by here, I like to use I like to use blocks and stairs to get this very tall, crooked roof aesthetic. You could use one block alone. You could use, you could go like this. There's pretty much anything you can do with roofs, especially with such a simple shape, which is the best thing to start off with. So then I'm going to do this. And I like to give roofs like this an extra pointy top. So it'll look like that. It's very tall. That's what I was going for. And then you can just bring it all the way over here and copy it on the other side. So let me make sure I get these lined up. That should be good. Then I'll just recreate the same shape with my blocks and stairs. You can use any colors. Once again, I'm not promoting that you copy this house. I'm saying that you learn from watching me build. And that is my main goal. Alright, so now we have these equal sides, and I'm going to start by just filling this part in. This is a nice time to make sure you've got it all even, because sometimes with such a wacky roof, especially if you're new to making roofs in such a way, it can be difficult to keep track of how even it is. I usually worry about bottom stairs and stuff while I'm building the interior. And I won't be focusing on interiors today either. That is not my main focus. My main focus is teaching you the foundations. Alright. Almost done with this side. I'll go ahead and speed this up. So we'll work on filling this big empty area up eventually, but right now we're just focused on the shape. So here is what we got. Usually I like to add a bit of detail to this top part so it looks a little bit less plain. And I usually like to add a little upside down stair in the gap to give it some more detail. But those are just details, so we'll focus on that later. Now, you might be thinking, what are we going to do with this? That is also my question. So I'm going to grab some slabs because I think I have an idea. So first I'm going to start by, actually, it's one of the main things. You've got to experiment. Not everything's going to be perfect the first try, and you're not going to like it immediately. Sometimes you will, and it's amazing when that happens. But sometimes it's going to be kind of inconvenient. Whenever I get to these sort of segments, awkward segments, I like to curve my stairs, but sometimes I can't. But it's not that big of a deal. So you may think I'm just making a flat roof, which I'm not. I'm making a roof that slowly goes up but wraps around, so it's like a rounded sort of square shape. Like that. Just to give this some different roof styles so it's not all the same. Because it can get pretty boring to look at if it's all the same style of roof everywhere. I like to give it some variation, personally. Now, I'm going to work on these extra segments. I think I'd like to actually make this one the balcony I mentioned, and the other one will be an extra segment, just part of the house. So, for the bottom of this balcony, I will be keeping the same blocks. I'm going to be keeping the stone right here, but if you want to, you can always experiment with using different blocks on the outer segments of your house to make it look like it was more added on than just there. I'm probably just going to fill this in with that for now, and I'll worry about all the fences and stuff later once I have the inside of the house done. Now for this segment, since I want to put it up here, I'm still going to section it off right here so I know where I want to put the bricks. But it's going to go higher than that, and it's going to stop about there. It's going to be a pretty short segment, but it'll work. Actually, no, that's a 2-block. I'm not doing a 2-block. I'm not making people suffer like that. There we go. So we'll have a little 3-block area inside the house. I don't know what I'll put in here, probably some sort of bedroom. But I'm just gonna gonna speed up the rest of this. Okay, so now we're at this stage, and you might be thinking, what are we going to do with this whole situation? So first, I'm going to quickly fill in this area, and I'm just going to fill it in with white wool. You could always do it with the same block you could use for the roof, or maybe even the mangrove logs or alternative you might be using. I'm just going to fill it in with the same block that's used for these walls. Worry about the other side later, but for now I just want to get this filled in so it'll be easier to build this roof. Now, what I plan on doing for this, it's gonna be something similar to that. And I'm gonna make it sort of gable-y, which is a roof style. Feel free to look it up, but I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. Right, so one thing I like is the way that it fits perfectly into here and make this nice little shape. Fits very nice, and one important thing to note is this is the back of the house. I'm putting effort into the back. It's not just the front, because people are going to be looking at it from most angles, most likely. So it's important that you care about all sides and not like just get lazy and neglect one side. So here we go. There we go. It's pretty simple. But just doing that, I've already made such a uniquely shaped house, and I haven't even finished it yet. It's not just simple one square cubed shape. I'll go more in depth about towers eventually, likely in another video. I'll have to make a part 2. But this is a pretty good start, I'd say so. tidy. That is pretty much it. I'll probably make another video in depth about specifically roof styles and shapes. But that should be it for now. I will come back to this world eventually for another video. Goodbye and have a great day.